Have you ever scrolled through Facebook Marketplace and seen something so insane you had to blink twice just to make sure you weren't hallucinating? That was me, one ordinary Saturday morning, half awake and sipping my coffee, just browsing through the usual jumble of mismatched couches, half-broken bikes, and cars held together with duct tape. Nothing out of the ordinary, until one post nearly sent my coffee shooting out my nose. In big, bold letters it screamed, "Reserved parking spot for sale. Prom location, message me for price." And the photo? I knew that patch of asphalt like I knew the freckles on my own hand. It was my parking spot, the same spot tied to my condo deed, my legal property. At first, I thought maybe it was a joke, a weird prank by someone bored out of their mind. But no, the more I looked, the more it didn't seem funny. I clicked the seller's profile, and my stomach dropped. It was Karen. Not just any Karen, but our HOA president's best friend, self-declared community sheriff, master of snarky notes, professional grass inspector, and the reigning champion of petty complaints. If you so much as left your trash bins out a few minutes too late, she'd be there snapping photos and shaking her head like she was auditioning for Judge Judy. The same Karen who left passive-aggressive notes about my curtains being too bright for the community aesthetic, and who once tried to fine me for hanging up wind chimes that apparently disturbed the delicate neighborhood tranquility. And here she was, selling my parking spot like it was a box of Girl Scout cookies. If that wasn't enough, the comments were already filling up with neighbors asking, "Is this permanent? Do I get a decal?" And Karen, ever the authority, just firing off replies, "Permanent, first come, first served." You know that feeling when your blood goes from 0 to boiling in 5 seconds? That was me, standing in my kitchen with my coffee going cold, realizing this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a full-on, deliberate, over-the-top power move from Karen. I wasn't about to let it slide. First step, proof. Screenshots of everything. The post, the comments, every smug reply. I even saved the whole page as a PDF because, trust me, Karen is the type to delete things and pretend they never happened. But screenshots weren't enough. I wanted to see just how far she'd go with her little scam. So I called up my buddy Ryan, who lives a few neighborhoods away, and asked him to play along. "Just message her and pretend you're interested," I said. He was all in, and sure enough, not an hour later, Karen's acting like some sketchy used car dealer, offering him a lifetime claim for the low price of $500 for a spot that, again, wasn't even hers to sell. Part of me wanted to laugh. Part of me wanted to flip the table. I knew there was only one thing to do: confront her. That evening, I spotted her in the courtyard, strutting around with her clipboard and a look on her face like she owned the place. I walked right up, trying to keep my voice steady, and said, "Hey, Karen, we need to talk about Facebook Marketplace." The look on her face lasted maybe half a second, caught off guard panic, before she snapped right back to her usual smug. "Oh, what about it?" she replied, fake innocent as ever. "You know exactly what I mean," I shot back. "Why are you selling my parking spot online?" She let out this little laugh, not nervous, just dismissive, and said, "That spot's under HOA jurisdiction. You don't actually own it. I'm just making better use of it since you hardly park there anyway." Flat out lie. My deed couldn't be clearer. But Karen thrived on bluffing, counting on most people to back down. So I hit her with the facts. I have screenshots, messages, everything. You really want to keep pretending? For the first time, her confidence cracked just a hair, but she leaned in close and hissed, "Go ahead. No one's going to believe you. I have the HOA on my side." Then she spun on her heel and stormed off, leaving me standing there with a heart pounding so loud, I'm surprised the whole neighborhood didn't hear it. Let me back up a sec. If you've ever tangled with HOA drama, you know this wasn't just a petty squabble. This was a test. Karen wanted to see if I'd fold or fight back, and I was more than ready to throw down. That night, I organized every piece of evidence, screenshots, messages, even a screen recording of the Facebook post just in case. The next day was the monthly HOA meeting, the kind of event most people only show up for if there's free donuts. But I was coming for a showdown. When they opened the floor for resident concerns, I stood up, cleared my throat, and let it fly. I'd like to talk about property theft and fraud happening in our community. You could hear a pin drop. I pulled up my phone, connected to the big screen, and boom, Karen's Facebook post for everyone to see. A ripple of shocked murmurs spread through the room. Karen, arms crossed in the corner, tried to play it cool. She started yelling. This is out of context. That spot belongs to the HOA. He's twisting this. But I just smiled and played the audio from Ryan's fake buyer call, with Karen's voice loud and clear offering a permanent sale for $500. The room exploded. Board members' jaws hit the floor. The treasurer started muttering about fraud. The president just stared at Karen like she'd grown a third eye. For the first time, the queen of the clipboard was lost for words. She started spinning stories, something about testing interest, that nobody was really buying it. But nobody was buying what she was selling anymore. One board member straight up called it fraud to her face. Another began writing a formal complaint right then and there. Karen's face turned the color of a stop sign. But you know the wildest thing? I could see in her eyes, she wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Sure enough, the very next day, I found a handwritten letter taped to my door. Enjoy your little victory. You won't be parking there much longer. No signature, but it reeked of Karen. Instead of rattling me, it fired me up. I installed a camera overlooking my spot and even asked my neighbor, Mr. Duffy, retired firefighter, eagle-eyed as ever, to keep a lookout. Good thing I did, because less than a week later, I came home to find some strange car in my spot. At first, I thought, okay, maybe someone's just visiting. But then I saw the note under the windshield. Authorized by HOA. Permanent rights granted. Unbelievable. Karen had actually scammed someone into thinking they owned my spot. I dialed the towing company and waited, but I also wanted to see her reaction when it all came crashing down. Sure enough, there she was, marching over with her clipboard, trying to act all official. Told you no one would believe you. This spot is theirs now, she sneered. I just nodded toward my security camera. Funny, because this is all recorded, and my lawyer's already seen it. Want to stick around and explain to the police? Her whole act melted away. She tried to bluster, but the tow truck pulled up, and the buyer started demanding answers. I showed him my deed. He turned on Karen with a look that could curdle milk. That was it. The whole scam was out in the open. Word spread through the community like wildfire. People started sharing stories. Turns out, Karen had a habit of stretching the truth and bending the rules when it suited her. The HOA finally had enough and booted her from every committee. Suddenly, her empire of intimidation vanished. Neighbors stopped answering her emails. She became the outcast she'd always accused everyone else of being. These days, my parking spot's right where it should be, and the camera's still up, just in case anyone else gets any bright ideas. And Karen? Well, she mostly keeps to herself now, but every once in a while, I'll catch her staring daggers my way. I just smile and keep walking, because nothing beats that feeling of taking back what's yours and watching the bully pack up her clipboard for good. But here's the real question. If it were you, what would you have done? Would you let it slide, or go to war over something small that meant everything? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If you want more wild tales from the HOA trenches, you know what to do. Hit like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and stick around. There's always another story just waiting to unfold.